From WWL, the news, talk, and sports leader, this is Breaking News.
This is Dave Cohen as we begin our continuing coverage of a mass casualty event, as the city of New Orleans has labeled it. Sometime shortly before 4 o'clock this morning, New Orleans police and city officials confirmed that a vehicle drove into a crowd of people on Bourbon Street between Iberville and Canal. We have been able to confirm that at least 10 people are dead. The city reports 30 people have been injured and taken to area hospitals for treatment, but has not released many other details. We are trying to gather information as we speak and are awaiting a news conference from the New Orleans police and city officials to give us the very latest. But this has spiraled into what has been a lot of information out there that may or may not be correct, and reaction in the area to the incident that has included reports of gunfire from witness accounts in the area that followed the incident, where a driver plowed into, as one NOPD spokesperson put it, a group of people on Bourbon Street. There were then reports from eyewitnesses of possible gunfire. A nearby hotel was evacuated amid reports of a bomb threat around the same time. We have had restaurants and bars that have evacuated in the area. All of this happening over the last 2.5 hours or so, shortly after the fireworks were flying over the Mississippi River and the arrival of 2025. Let's go now live to the 8th District headquarters, where it appears that New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is beginning to speak.
First of all, we do know that the city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack. It's all still under investigation. You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and, of course, a unified command who is present here. What I'm asking at this time are prayers for those who have lost their lives in the city of New Orleans due to this tragedy.
WWL's Chris Miller is at the 8th District Police Headquarters, where we just heard that news conference. And, Chris, I guess we're walking away from this with a lot of new information, but also a lot of very important questions we do not have answers to.
Yes, we still don't have answers to a lot of the questions. As you mentioned, we did hear the mayor of New Orleans come out and describe it as a terrorist attack. The investigation is now being handled by the FBI. The FBI agent in charge did say that there were improvised explosive devices found. And that's about all we know at this point. They were not taking any questions. They said that they would have more to say later this morning. But you are right. We still have a lot of information that we're still looking for, like the disposition of the driver in this incident, and also more information about how many civilians may have been hurt in this. I can't tell you that NOPD is making sure, or as sure as possible, that few people get through. Now, there are pedestrians walking through in the French Quarter, but down on Canal Street, there are lines and lines of police cars on the scene with their lights flashing, making sure that they're keeping as many bystanders away as possible. And so they have told the public to pretty much avoid Bourbon Street today, from Canal all the way down to St. Anne. But the chief was also very, intentional in letting us know that the rest of the city, they say they are keeping as safe as possible, and that people should go out and whatever plans they had for New Year's Day, as long as it doesn't involve the main part of Bourbon Street, go out and enjoy that.
We're talking with New Orleans City Councilman Eugene Green after a truck attack on Bourbon Street some 4 hours and 15 minutes ago. Very quickly, Councilman, you said that this individual will pay a very hefty price. Do you know if this individual is alive or dead, in custody or at large?
I do not. If he is dead, then he's already paid a heavy price. If he's alive, there's no way that after this investigation is concluded and the arrest is made that he won't pay a very heavy price. So I don't know if he's dead or alive. I'll know more a little bit later, just like all of us.
7:52, Dave Cohen, continuing coverage of the attack on pedestrians and police on Bourbon Street at 3:15 this morning. WWL TV's Leah McNeil joins us now live from Bourbon and Canal. And Leah, you have been hearing information about the suspect in this case. What can you tell us?
Well, right now we do know that the suspect is dead. this morning. We're still waiting more information from police about how this all happened. But we do know that, again, that suspect is dead this morning. I have been speaking to witnesses since about just after 3:30 when I first got here on scene. And many of them say that they just remember running for their lives after they saw a white pickup truck just plow through the crowds on Bourbon Street. One woman was really just feet away from getting hit by this car. She said that it was a lot less people than what it normally was because the celebrations were starting to wind down, but nonetheless, still quite a bit of people. And, of course, we now know that 10 people are dead and about 36 others are injured, including 2 officers that were shot after that suspect into the fire and shot at officers.
WWL's Chris Miller is in the French Quarter now. Chris, what are you seeing and hearing?
Dave, the sun's come up and people are moving about, getting their coffee or headed to places for breakfast and that sort of thing. I talked to a couple of people who are staying at the Astor Crown Plaza Hotel, which is right at the corner of Canal and Bourbon. And, they didn't find out about this till they got up and came downstairs in the morning. One of them said a grandchild had texted them. They apparently knew the location of their hotel better than they did, asking them if they were okay. And they said yes, and told me, we're not from town. We didn't even realize it was right outside our hotel until we got downstairs. They, said it's a scary thing to find out after you wake up when you've come to town to celebrate the Sugar Bowl and the New Year. But they also told me that they don't worry about their safety going forward. They, see that the situation has been secured.
And I'm Dave Cohen, WWL First News, as we continue to learn more about the terror attack on Bourbon Street that happened around 3:15 this morning. WWL's Ian Ozan is with us now. And Ian, we have just gotten some new information from federal authorities.
That's right, Dave. The Federal Bureau of Investigation releasing a statement just a few minutes ago saying that they are now investigating this morning's attack on Bourbon Street as an act of terrorism, confirming that the FBI is the lead investigative agency on this case, though they are working with local partners in the New Orleans area. Again, earlier we heard in the press conference that the special agent in charge in the New Orleans field office, Elisa Duncan, said that it was not a terror attack, contradicting what we heard from NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick and Mayor LaToya Cantrell. But now, according to an email that came in just a few moments ago, the FBI now investigating the Bourbon Street attack that left 10 people dead, 35 in the hospital, as an act of terrorism.
From WWL, the news, talk, and sports leader, this is Breaking News.
I'm Dave Cohen, WWL First News. In less than 2 hours, we expect to hear from the mayor of New Orleans, the police chief, and the FBI for the very latest on this breaking news story. Around 3:15 a.m., police say a man in a white pickup truck sped around the barricades on Bourbon Street at Canal, heading toward Iberville and running over people in his path. Hell-bent, they said he was, on killing people, and he killed at least 10 pedestrians and injured some 35 more. Police say then he pulled out a gun that witnesses described as an assault-type style rifle and started shooting. 2 police officers were wounded, and now police confirm that they returned fire, shooting and killing the suspect. The FBI is investigating what appeared to be improvised explosive devices found on the scene to verify if they were actually bombs or not. Joining us now is New Orleans City Councilman Joe Giarrusso.
My wife whispered to me before I came on that the victims who are hospitalized went from 25 to 35. So that shows you how much the story is changing. NOPD and their partners blew up a couple of devices. They don't know what they were. They were suspicious things in the French Quarter. I think safety and caution are the absolute words of the moment.
Joining us now is U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy.
The FBI is calling it a terrorist attack. And we can kind of guess why. They've got the suspect. They got the corpse at least. They got the truck. They have the possessions in the truck, and they have a license plate. And with that license plate, they can trace where it's been. And if you put that all together, they decided it was ideologically driven. That's incredibly significant, and that should guide everything we do from now on.
WWL's Chris Miller is at NOPD headquarters, where we are just learning now that this 11 a.m. news conference will not be happening at 11 a.m. Chris, what are you hearing?
the event?
That's right. I was informed by personnel here at NOPD headquarters on Poydras Street that they've pushed the news conference back to 1 p.m. this afternoon. So they will still be getting a lot of information together before they want to give it to the public. So it'll be another few hours before we hear the next official word from the authorities on this investigation.
20 years ago, Hurricane Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast.
We will be doing a mandatory evacuation.
Please leave. I just don't have enough body bags.
It is time to run.
The city of New Orleans is under mandatory evacuation. We have a Category 5 hurricane coming.
You can't drink the water. It's not safe. There's no electricity, very little phone service. Everywhere you look, there's debris. The street next to me is a river with raging rapids.
Thousands of people being rescued from their rooftops and attics. Any idea in the city of New Orleans how many people have been rescued?
3,000 or 3,200. There's a lot more people who need assistance.
Welcome in. I'm Dave Cohen. As we look back at how Katrina approached the Gulf Coast, slammed into Louisiana and Mississippi, and left the worst ever disaster in its wake. Joining us to get started, the voice of the recovery from Hurricane Katrina, Garland Robinette. Let's start at the beginning. Do you remember when Hurricane Katrina formed in the Caribbean, came across Florida, got in the Gulf, was a Category 5, and until 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon, all the information was, that Friday before the Monday landfall, all the information was it was going to the Florida Panhandle. But at 4 o'clock, our world changed when we found out the National Hurricane Center said the previous modeling was not right, and landfall was going to be smack dab on New Orleans for what could be a Category 5 hurricane.
I remember telling my wife, I've been covering hurricanes for 20 years. They always enter the Gulf as Category 12s, and they come ashore at Category 1. So I said, you and my daughter go ahead and leave town. I'll help, but there's not going to be anything to this. Storm will come and go like they always do. And I said, very reluctantly, because I wanted to go with my wife.
So your family leaves, you come to WWL, then the storm hits.
Hell breaks loose.
Almost all of us will remember your conversation with New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin.
You mean to tell me that a place where you probably have thousands of people that have died and thousands more that are dying every day, that we can't figure out a way to authorize the resources that we need? And I don't know whose problem it is. I don't know whether it's the governor's problem. I don't know whether it's the president's problem. But somebody needs to get their ass on a plane and sit down, the two of them, and figure this out right now. This is ridiculous. And I don't want to see anybody do any more goddamn press conferences. Put a moratorium on press conferences. Don't do another press conference until the resources are in this city, and then come down to this city and stand with us when there are military trucks and troops that we can't even count. Don't tell me 40,000 people are coming here. They're not here. It's too doggone late. Now get off your asses and let's do something, and let's fix the biggest goddamn crisis in the history of this country.
And I'll say it right now. You're the only politician that's called for arms like this. And if whatever it takes, the governor, president, whatever law precedent it takes, whatever it takes, I bet that the people listening to you are on your side.
Well, I hope so, Garland. I'm at the point now where it don't matter. People are dying. They don't have homes. They don't have jobs. The city of New Orleans will never be the same.
You, when you did get to interview President George W. Bush, got a commitment from him that he would prioritize the coast, that he understood the importance of the oil and gas revenue sharing, that Louisiana get its fair share so money could be put into restoring the coast.
You going to help us with the fight to get those oil and gas royalties?
I am. One of the interesting lessons of Katrina, and particularly the post-Katrina period, is this business about protection for the future. And as you know, there's a focused effort to get the levees up better than they were to Katrina, and a lot of good folks are working hard to get that done. But I'm told by people that know a lot more about this than I do that the wetlands provide the most important source of protection against storm surge. And I'm a strong backer of a plan to get more of the offshore royalties into the coffers of Louisiana.
Where do you think we are now in that process?
Yeah. I don't think it's been followed through. He and I had a big argument off camera about what has been done, what should be done. The problem is, I saw it in war. When somebody's shooting at you, your attention is focused. It's all about survival. Well, Katrina was a bullet, and everybody went, oh my God, we're going to die if we don't do. And then, like humans are, we're all like that. We go, I know we're losing the wetlands, but I love Jazz Fest. I love LSU, Tulane, the Saints, and we'll get around to it eventually. I think it's the human condition.
You were screaming and hollering about it before Katrina. You were thinking about it as you fled the city after Katrina. And to this day, you're still waving that banner. You're still raising that flag. And still, you don't think much of anything has been done to seriously rebuild our coast. The National Hurricane Center says Katrina was an extraordinarily powerful and deadly hurricane that carved a wide swath of catastrophic damage and inflicted a large loss of life. It was the costliest and one of the 5 deadliest hurricanes to ever strike the United States. I'm Dave Cohen. Thanks for joining us as we look at Hurricane Katrina 20 years later.
So I'm going to die. The water is steady rising in the attic, and I'm going to drown in the attic.
We need help. Send somebody to help us.
We all are desperate. We need something to eat.
Officials have only been able to begin finding out what Katrina has left behind.
There are a lot of areas throughout the city covered with water. New Orleans East, the Ninth Ward, Lakeview, parts of Uptown, a lot of damage.
NOPD Chief Warren Riley says windows in the CBD are blown out and cars are flooded across the area. People are stranded on top of their homes. Bodies are floating in the water, and Nagin says boats will be dispatched later today to help in rescuing those stranded.
People are calling Jesus, Jesus, and I tell them that Jesus doesn't work here anymore.
In the 36 hours after Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana and Mississippi, we came to learn that the worst-case scenario for New Orleans was unfolding as the lake was filling the city with water, and many people were trapped.
The devastation is greater than our worst fears. It's just totally overwhelming.
The 17th Street Canal continues to have this huge breach. I just got off of a helicopter ride with the Army and basically was able to see it firsthand. It's probably a 2 to 3 block breach.
This is significant devastation that we're faced with. It is what we all feared. It's what we all hoped we would never have to deal with. But now it's here. It happened.
Back with Newell Norman now, who is telling us how conflicts were creating roadblocks to saving and helping people. And one of the biggest conflicts was with those in government who wanted to hide the human toll from the view of reporters and cameras so the world couldn't see people suffering.
The pressure from Washington was that the media scenery and the media landscape was presented, in a truthful way, but it was horrible. It was just horrible seeing folks on balconies and on rooftops and the Superdome and the UNO Assembly Center, and there's no food, there's no water, there's no electricity, there's no bathrooms,
and people dying,
and everybody's trying to figure out a place to take these people. but there was no place to bring them where the conditions were appreciably better than where they were. Because the whole area was no water, no electricity, no air conditioning, limited medical services.
Yeah, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
And so it was this constant conflict of trying to move this to get off of the news. And
that's what the White House wanted.
And the state as well. So there was, for us, it just, Jefferson Parish became the landing spot where they wanted to bring everybody, but provide no materials, no goods, no supplies for sustenance.
So they're just moving them from one bad shelter to another bad shelter.
We were going to lock down the facility.
So the media couldn't see them.
That was the goal, to get them out from under the television camera. It ended up being a very heated conversation. And the guy from FEMA wouldn't back down. I said, well, y'all are bringing water? You bringing food?
No.
Y'all have portalets?
No.
Because we have no running water here.
You couldn't flush the toilets.
We couldn't flush the toilets. We couldn't do anything. We had no power. So
no air conditioning.
No air conditioning. Concourse doesn't have windows that open. Put thousands of people in these concourses, they're going to die.
It's a citywide celebration as New Orleans is welcoming the Super Bowl. Everywhere you look around the city and surrounding region, there are special events, huge gatherings, street parties, concerts, and a lot of money being spent.
We're expecting a really, really good bump for the entire city. Everybody should do very well.
Superdome Management Team Vice President Doug Thornton says hotels are packed, so are restaurants, bars, venues, museums, other attractions, and streetcars. And we're here in downtown New Orleans, standing right in between the Superdome and the Convention Center, which isn't a bad walk. And Jay Cicero is here with the New Orleans Sports Foundation as New Orleans hosts a record-tying 11th Super Bowl. Jay, how have you been so successful in attracting Super Bowls over the years here to New Orleans? Why the Crescent City?
New Orleans is obviously a fan favorite and an NFL favorite. However, it takes a lot of work in a bid process to remain competitive with other cities who have either new stadiums or who have the desire to attract a Super Bowl to their city. So obviously the ambiance of New Orleans, our unique culture, history, the French Quarter, walking distance are all assets. But now it takes a competitive bid.
So you're blessed that you have a city that has, 30,000 hotel rooms within walking distance to all the major attractions where the game will be played, where fans will spend time. But you also have to make some pretty lofty promises, and you did this time as well, to the league to get them to bring the game back.
We absolutely made a lot of promises. You have to commit to a lot of things.
This time around, had to tell the league to do $650 million in upgrades to the Superdome amongst the other commitments made to get the game to come back here a record 11th time. Why is it worth all of that work and all of that coordination to bring the game back so time after time?
Well, the Super Bowl is a driving force to get projects done. A renovation of the Superdome is not only just for the Super Bowl, but it's for the regular season Saints games. It's for the Bayou Classic. It's for the Essence Festival. It's for the New Orleans Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and so on all the other events that happen in the Superdome each year. And so when you look at it like that the Super Bowl is this driving force. It's been the driving force to get $25 million worth of street and infrastructure and other infrastructure projects done here in New Orleans. And so those will be here for decades. And so if that's what it takes to get all this done, to have a Super Bowl, then so be it.
Superdome General Manager Evan Holmes says they essentially had to gut and rebuild the interior of the Superdome to compete with all the new stadiums around the league that also want Super Bowls.
Frankly, excited to see what the new Superdome can do with the Super Bowl compared to when they were here in 2013. Two really completely different buildings.
Cicero says that construction project and all of the others are well worth it.
Well, it is a huge economic impact. There's no doubt about that. And in 2013, the last time we hosted it, it was $480 million economic impact. It's a big number. It certainly will be bigger this time around. We don't know exactly what it's going to be. But that's a big number in itself. The other impact is the media impact, and it's grown over the years. This is my 4th Super Bowl, and from 1997, there were 3,000 credentialed members of the media. Now there are 6,000 credentialed members of the media that will be here all week. Those types of opportunities only come along with an event like the Super Bowl.
Experts say that kind of exposure on TV, radio, the internet, social media, and print will bring millions of visitors for years to come, spending more and more money and keeping the economic party going far into the future. From construction crews to musicians, hotel and restaurant workers to security personnel, caterers to entertainers, and artists to laundry services, Super Bowl Impact is putting extra money in many pockets.
It's awesome to have a Super Bowl here. We're going to make some money.
Sierra Gramillion works at a local family-owned party rental supplier. She's reaping the benefits. At CCI Productions, a local business that specializes in printing, the couple of dozen employees have been working for months to make banners that will hang everywhere from inside the Superdome and around town for the Super Bowl to completely covering skyscrapers with 40-story murals, ads, and marketing.
It's cool to see it kind of all come together and knowing how many people put the hard work into it to make it happen.
Owner Paul Utterback says the big game brings big money to small business.
We'll do, 75% of our yearly revenue in 4 months.
So at the end of the year, how much do you think you're further ahead because the Super Bowl came to town?
Probably 50%. Yeah, it's an incredible boost, and it's an incredible undertaking.
Dave Nelson at True Value Rental echoes that.
Yes, we've started ramping this up back in September, and we've continued on. Now that it's here, it's kind of crazy. We've got a lot of things happening, but yes, it's definitely a huge impact to our business.
Both say it also means additional revenue for their employees.
We've been preparing for this for probably 3 years, so it's everybody here is bought in. Everybody does make more money. Everybody makes a lot of overtime, but it's not without sacrifice, right? So we've had a really good buy-in from everybody here on our team, and it's certainly a boom to everybody.
Utterback says all of the extra income is also rippling through the community as they buy more supplies, utilize more local services, and everyone makes more money and spends more money around town. He also says the exposure will help into the future.
The impact to small business is not just 1 year, right? Hopefully these things are catalyst and bedrock for a lot of people to build their business on.
And while many of the workers are indeed savoring the additional income, Gramillion notes she's ready for a break.
A lot of work, a lot of work, but we are excited and it's beautiful.
Many are already asking, how soon can the game come back again? We're at the Morrow Convention Center here in downtown New Orleans. Here is where there are literally miles of exhibition space that have been dedicated to the NFL experience, Radio Row, and so many activities for fans to come and participate in leading up to the big game. Michael Hecht is the appointee of Louisiana's governor to coordinate all of the Super Bowl activities here in New Orleans. And Michael, that's a mountain of an appointment for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it was not on my bingo card a year ago, but when the governor asked, I jumped at it. I was in New York when we went after the Olympics with Dan Doctoroff, and I understood from that experience that even though we didn't win the Olympics in New York, it served as a catalyst for so many game-changing investments in the city for things like the High Line, for massive rezoning, for new stadiums for the Yankees and the Mets, for new subway lines. So I understood that a sporting event could be a forcing function for so many things beyond the event itself.
We talked about here in the convention center so much going on with tens of thousands of fans participating in the activities here, but this is just one of many sites. I walked over here through the downtown New Orleans area between the Superdome and the convention center, and just to see all the stages set up for outdoor venues, for music concerts during the lead up to the Super Bowl, to see all the venues with special events surrounding the Super Bowl. There's a whole lot of economic development going on that's not even directly part of what the NFL is doing here in New Orleans. Orleans?
Yeah, you could say the direct impact might be $500 million. That's the T-shirts and hot dogs and beers. But then you get the indirect benefit of everything happening around it. But the real benefit is, I was with Roger Goodell in D.C. last week, and he talked about the 200 million people around the world that are going to see this game. The value of that, the goodwill, the brand benefit, you can actually calculate it, and its magnitudes more. It's actually in the billions of dollars of value. So we not only want to have a great game, we want to project in New Orleans to the world that looks great, that feels great, and that welcomes people back after the game.
We know that there was $650 million in improvements put into the Superdome to attract this Super Bowl back to New Orleans. But just where we're standing, I can see the Four Seasons. They wanted to be completely renovated, reopened, and ready to go for the Super Bowl. Caesars built a brand new hotel and completely renovated and rebranded their casino. Billions of private dollars have been spent getting ready for this game as well.
That's absolutely true. In fact, if you look all through downtown, we calculate about $3 billion of investment that's happened recently. And there was no question that this game, February 9th, 2025, was the goal, was the deadline. And so when people ask, why do you go after major events like this? The point is that it's catalytic. It's catalytic for public investment. It's catalytic for private investment. And the benefit, if you do it right, will be enjoyed by residents for a decade or more after the event is over.
Michael Hecht, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry's Super Bowl coordinator, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'll see you at the game.
During a routine head count at 8:30 this morning, it was determined that several detainees were unaccounted for.
11 inmates of the Orleans Parish Jail escaped custody overnight. Guards discovered the escape around 8:30 this morning during a head count. Sheriff Susan Hudson says the inmates were awaiting trial for violent crimes and they're considered dangerous.
Our top priority right now is the safety of the public and returning these individuals to our custody without delay.
One inmate, identified as Kendall Miles, has been recaptured. New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick says they weren't notified about it until 2 hours after it was discovered and said prompt notification was necessary.
When we learned about it, we knew the immediacy to at least inform the public. Even if we didn't have pictures ready and all of the names ready, we didn't have that either. But we need to let our public know.
The sheriff did not answer questions about why they took 2 hours to notify NOPD and 2.5 hours to notify the public.
When we were notified, we immediately offered any and all resources to the sheriff, and we have informed every single officer of the NOPD. And as of right now, we can confirm for you that NOPD was able to at least apprehend one of the escapees. I do not have a confirmation on the name just yet. The person obviously is not speaking.
11 Orleans Parish Jail inmates suspected of violent offenses escaped custody sometime overnight and have been on the run. The jail didn't learn about the escape until 8:30 this morning during a routine head count. Information continues to emerge about the escape. 2 have been caught. We know Louisiana State Police Troop NOLA caught one on Royal in the French Quarter. And WWL TV's Katie Moore says this is the second time on the run for Kendall Miles.
Kendall Miles was also arrested for escaping the Bridge City Center for Youth a short while ago, and then allegedly went on a violent crime spree after that. His case in particular was of great concern with Bridge City, and yet again, he's allegedly involved in an escape.
Amid the ongoing search for missing inmates from OPP, New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick issued a warning for residents to be observed until every escapee is back in custody.
There are a couple of things that we want to say to our public is that this is an urgent and a serious situation. Please be mindful. Please be mindful.
Chief Kirkpatrick says NOPD was not notified about the escape until 2 hours after the sheriff's office learned about it.
Keith Lewis, who was previously reported as an escaped detainee, was in a different cell. So he had been moved, but it had not been updated. So he is not on the run. There were 10, not 11. We have really hard-working deputies, but we're not going to tar and feather everybody with the same brush. We're going to find out exactly what happened, who's responsible, hold them accountable both administratively and criminally.
10 inmates of the Orleans Parish Jail escaped custody. Guards discovered the escape around 8:30 this morning during a head count. Sheriff Susan Hudson says the inmates may have had help from the inside.
We have indication that these detainees received assistance in their escape from individuals inside of our department.
The sheriff said that will be thoroughly investigated, but the first priority is safely returning the escapees back to the jail. One inmate has been caught. That inmate, Kendall Miles, has a history of escapes, having escaped from the Bridge City Center for Youth in the past. All of the escapees should be considered dangerous, New Orleans DA Jason Williams told WWL-TV.
I can tell you they are desperate because I know the charges they were facing and I know the sentences they were facing. And so they are desperate and they should be considered armed and dangerous.
New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick said they weren't notified until about 2 hours after the jailbreak was discovered and said prompt notification was necessary.
When we learned about it, we knew the immediacy to at least inform the public, even if we didn't have pictures ready and all of the names ready. We didn't have that either. But we need to let our public know.
The sheriff did not answer questions about why they took 2 hours to notify NOPD and 2.5 hours to notify the public. The sheriff's office initially reported 11 escapees, then discovered one of the inmates they thought escaped had been moved to a different cell. While authorities are searching for 7 Orleans Parish prison escapees who remain on the run, local and state leaders are playing the blame game. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry's pointing his finger at, among others, New Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams.
Prosecutors who are unprepared and delay cases for years must be addressed in this court system. 9 of the 10 escapees have been in the pretrial stages in OPCC for years now.
Meanwhile, local criminal justice officials are pushing back. The DA takes offense at the governor's accusation that he's somehow responsible for the jailbreak. In fact, he says it's not his job, but the state's to move violent convicts into state prisons.
He was left there sitting on the first floor of the jail.
Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams personally prosecuted murder convict Derek Groves during his trial last year. Williams told WWL's Tommy Tucker that there's no reason why the state didn't put Groves in a state prison after his conviction.
This person could have been shipped off and he wasn't. But I don't control that. And I don't understand why the governor would think that I would.
As for the escapees who were awaiting trial, Williams noted that the courts are still fighting a backlog created by the COVID pandemic.
Jury trials were suspended for over a year. The guy on his right, Leon Canizero, could have very easily reminded him of how long that shutdown lasted.
Ian Ozan, WWL First News. 4 down, 6 to go. Louisiana State Police captured another Orleans Parish prison escapee last night. Authorities found Gary Price in New Orleans early Monday evening. He'll now be transferred to a secure state prison. The New Orleans City Council meets today and will be discussing Friday's jail escape. WWL's Chris Miller reports.
The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office is set to appear before the council. Councilmember Joe Geruso, leader of the Budget Committee, told WWL-TV that the sheriff has the money to address needs at the jail, so why didn't it happen?
The sheriff has a $14 million fund balance right now and has a millage. You can bond out against those for capital needs that doesn't involve the city at all.
Geruso said a full, transparent accounting is needed to restore public trust.
There will also be representatives from the NOPD, NOSEP, the city's 911 Commission, and Louisiana State Police at the meeting. It starts this morning at 10 o'clock in New Orleans City Hall. The total reward for tips leading to the arrest of the 6 remaining fugitives is $20,000. If you have any information about where the escapees are, call 911.
Cops have brought charges against a jail employee allegedly linked to the escape of 10 Orleans Parish prison inmates.
We executed an arrest on an individual who is, in fact, a maintenance worker or was a maintenance worker at the facility.
Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow says Sterling Williams was booked on 1 count of malfeasance in office and 10 counts of simple escape. He's accused of shutting off the water to the cell where inmates tore a toilet off the wall and broke into a service corridor. Williams claims one of the escapees threatened to stab him if he didn't help. Murrow says he should have reported the threat. One of the biggest unanswered questions about the jailbreak is why did it take so long for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office to notify the public about what happened? The jailbreak happened around 1 in the morning, but the Sheriff's Office didn't even notice until 8:30, and they didn't notify the public for another couple of hours. Today, officials from the Sheriff's Office admitted their own procedures or lack thereof may have led to that delay.
Without getting to the complexities of day-to-day, the count varies.
According to Sheriff's Office Chief of Corrections Jay Mallett, the first meal in the jail is served around 5:15 in the morning. But he told members of the New Orleans City Council that the first head count happens at shift change. Sometimes those head counts happen even later in the morning, depending on what appointments inmates have.
They may be going to a medical appointment. They may be going to court. They may have attorney-client visits. So there's a lot going on at the crack of dawn.
That admission left council members stunned.
So you're saying that that it's not unusual to have counts be off?
It's not unusual.
Ian Ozan, WWL First News.